Morning. Today is I think it's day 27. It's a Tuesday. Yesterday was really windy and cold, and it was windy and cold almost through the whole night, at least until 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. The Boone Weather Station page said that it was going to be windy through 9 p.m. And we've seen this before where it's only supposed to be windy till 9 and then it's windy until 3 a.m. But today is a exceptionally nice day. We're walking on a ridge right now. We stayed, I don't know, I'll put the name of the shelter on the title of today's event, but we stayed at a shelter. We shelter camped, or we camped outside of a shelter, and we got there really early. I think we got there around 4:30, which allowed us to nap for a couple hours. Ate a little bit of a lunch, and then just enjoyed a nap. And while we were sleeping, like 8 or 9 people showed up and just camped right next to us, and ended up having not a big fire. They had a little fire, and they were playing card games and stuff until probably 10 o'clock, 9:30 or so. So it's kind of a louder night, but that's what you get when you stay at a shelter. So it's kind of to be expected. So people are going to try to disperse this evening a little bit. We were going to stay at the Roan High Knob shelter, which is the highest shelter on the AT. But we have elected instead to camp at Carver Gap. We're getting picked up tomorrow early in the morning at like 6 o'clock in the morning. And I think we're just going to call it a 0 tomorrow and then try to get back on the trail on Thursday. I've got a little minor physical I need to go to. And, I guess we could go for a resupply, just something to carry us between the top of Carver all the way to Damascus, which I believe is like another 100 miles. So after we stop at Carver, we'll probably look to just straight lining all the way to Damascus. And there is supposed to be some weather this weekend. I believe Friday is supposed to be just another cold front that comes sliding through, and whenever you have cold air that mixes with warm moist air, you get rain. So yeah, it's supposed to rain. The local weather guy who works for the National Weather Service, he said that he thinks that it could be a very, depends on how the storm forms. He said the storm is going to form over the Midwest, I think over the Great Lakes, and then drop down. And he said that there's a chance that it could be just minimum showers on Friday. So that's what we're hoping for. I'm hoping it's not going to be another one of these like 50 mile per hour for 48-hour wind events. It's just cold and annoying. I mean, the wind isn't super bad. It's kind of nice to get a little air conditioning while you're hiking, but man, it just kind of rings your head for a long time. And I mean, the evenings are okay, but last night it was so stinking chilly that after we went in our tents, we just elected to not eat a dinner, which we normally don't do. But it's never advisable to cook inside of your tent. It's like just asking a bear to come poke his nose in there to see what you were cooking. But yeah, this is like just a beautiful day. Trail's been awesome. A couple things we're looking forward to. I'm just looking forward to getting out of the state of North Carolina. I love it here, but the state's been pretty challenging, and Not that it's going to be relaxed once we get out of the state, but some of these massive climbs are going to go away. Yesterday's massive climb out of Irwin wasn't really that bad. I believe totally it was like 3,800 feet. And it was just a long, gentle, I think it was 3,800 feet over 10 miles. It was super, super nice. Everybody was commenting yesterday how easy yesterday was. And I don't think it's just that everyone has their trail legs. I don't feel like I've got my trail legs yet. So, yeah, a little glossary term. You know how I like glossary terms. Trail legs. That's the idea that your muscles in your legs and kind of like all your callousing and, you know, you've kind of broken yourself in. You're used to the weight that you're carrying. You got decent form, and once you get your trail legs, you know, everyone says, oh, you know, 20, 25 miles a day, no problem. Well, I'm not there yet. I think part of it's the terrain. We got past the callousing part in Hot Springs. Hot Springs was the end. So, you know, I don't know how many miles that is from the start of Georgia to Hot Springs, but I think it was a couple weeks, and we were dealing with blisters up through Hot Springs, and then getting used to the weight. You know, one of the things that we want to do when we stop tomorrow is be very conscientious about how much food we carry. And you'll hear this 100% of the time. The number one mistake that newbie hikers make is that they carry too much food. Well, I'd say newbie through hikers make is carrying too much food. We certainly carried too much food. We didn't resupply in Georgia. And then with the mix of all the trail magic in Georgia, which there's a lot of it, we hardly used any food at all. I think we got out of Georgia and Nibbles had used she'd eaten a couple snacks, but for actual dinners cooked, she cooked like one dinner. And that was in the first, you know, whatever it is, 78 miles. So, you know, trail legs, I think, I would say that what I'm finding is like kind of that point where everyone gets their trail legs. It's a mixture of the fitness. It's a mixture of the right shoe and weight combination. It's just like the whole package is what equals trail legs. The other thing too is if you kind of start out, you know, Wayne back in Hot Springs, I think it's the Bluff Mountain Outfitters. It's the only outfitters in Hot Springs. And if you need somebody to straighten out your head, go talk to him. He's a great guy, and he just kind of reminded us. He said, you know, when runners go to run marathons, no matter who they are, you know, they don't really pick it up until maybe at least 20% out of the gate. So, you know, by the time we were in Hot Springs, we were already doing consistently, like, we averaged out of Fontana to Hot Springs, we averaged like 19 miles a day. And we're just seeing with zeros, we're seeing an average of right around 15 or 16 miles a day, even though we've been taking it easy lately. But he made a good point. His point is that, you know, we're not even 20% into the trail yet. So, you know, we'll hit 20% at like around mile 450, somewhere in that neighborhood. And, you know, up until then, you know, even today I'm feeling it. It's like, it's worth just kind of holding yourself back a little bit and letting your body grow. So we took that was part of the reason we took a zero in Irwin. We really didn't need to, even though the weather was kind of crummy. But it really paid off. I mean, every time you take a zero, you feel like you get like 5 times the recovery that you get from just taking a Nero. Anyway, those are some things to think about if you're going to be through hiking. You know, your trail legs. You know, if you need to schedule yourself out on the trail, and you're only able to do 8 miles a day through Georgia, there's a lot of people who are just knocking down 8 miles a day in Georgia. 8 miles a day through the first half of North Carolina. You know, if that's what you're doing, I see a lot of growth out here. I see a lot of people that have like a lot lower tag numbers, meaning that they started earlier, and now they're all looking really healthy, doing 17, 18 mile days. So I guess I'm hoping that not only does, you combine the trail legs with like easier trails, maybe. I don't know what Virginia's like, but if the trails are easier, like this, just flat ridge walking, I mean, this would be awesome. Then yeah, you're gonna start piling on the miles. Some pretty land.
Hey everyone, Nibbles here. Day, what is it, Dan? Day 26, I think. Day 27? Day 27. This is really getting difficult to track. We are doing our last descent before we start our big climb for Roan Mountain today. So that'll be 5 miles of climbing. And Roan Mountain is where all this started, where I had a big hike with Dan or Radar, and just kind of had that feeling that this is the year and we gotta go do it. So it's pretty cool to come back here with nicer weather and, visit where all the decision making had started. So we're only getting to Carver Gap today, and we'll sleep there tonight, and then tomorrow our neighbor, shout out to Wayne, will be picking us up from the trailhead and from the gap, and we'll go home for a couple days, change out some gear, do some chores, I don't know, maybe get some sweet haircuts. You'll have to tune in next time to see how those haircuts go. And then we'll come back on trail. So the road's kind of in two parts because we'll be hitting Roan Mountain today, but then we'll hit the gap, Carver Gap, and when we come back from Carver Gap and restart, then we'll kind of be hitting the highlands and all the balds. So it'll be kind of chopped up in two pieces. But yesterday for me was such a great hiking day. Even though it was really cold and we had like ice and sleeping was very cold, like the day just went so well. I felt so good. All the climbs went really well. I felt really strong. So that might have to do with like the Dunkin' Donuts, the Taco Bell, the Mexican food, and the milkshake from Pal's. I don't know. Town food. Town food is just, I don't know. Maybe it's magical. I don't know. We'll have to find out. There's so many variables in this whole food game. It's really hard to figure out what's working and what's not working. Because a couple days ago, I was yawning on trail. Seriously, super tired. Everything was hard. I just felt really asleep. I felt kind of like I was in a fog. Like my eyes weren't even focusing. And those were the days I was eating Pop-Tarts, Snickers, Cheetos. Well, this is embarrassing to admit. And anything else that I could get in Hot Springs, I guess, for junk food. Because everything had been going so well. I thought I should treat myself. So anyway, in the last couple of days when we were in Irwin, I decided to resupply instead with some protein bars. So I tried that Quest cookies and cream. It's pretty good. Thanks, James, for the tip. And some other like blueberry, I don't know, some other kind of protein bar. So trying to swap out some of the complete garbage food for something that has a little bit more nutrients in it. So far feeling good. We'll see how the last climb of the day, this big one, goes. Yeah, that's just kind of what's happening here. Such a beautiful day today. I mean, yesterday we didn't even cook dinner because it was so cold. When we got into our tent around 4:30, we just put on an audiobook, got in my sleeping bag, and never got out until the next morning. So no dinner cooked that night, nothing, just too cold. But today's beautiful. It's supposed to be nice for the next couple days, and then maybe next weekend it'll get cold again. But life on the AT, unpredictable. Just trying to find a balance between order and chaos. Anyway, anything you have to report, Radar?
No. Not right now.
All right. See you on the other side. That's where we're going, I think. If it's tall, hard to climb, and lasts a long time, that's where we're going.
So right now we're climbing the Roan. This could be one of the last big climbs until we get up to the northeast. I think it's like around 20, it could be like 2,800 feet of climbing. Hey.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
So we went over the top of Roan just to check it out, and it was pretty awesome. We're going to be staying at the Carver's Gap tonight. I know Nibbles was talking about that earlier, and it's just where the highway it's like a 2-lane highway crosses the trail, so it's like another 1.5 miles. But we will see you down there.